Chapter 1 Departures Thursday, October 9th, 1986, Washington, D.C. Ronald Reagan was beaming as he stood outside the White House on a beautiful Indian summer morning. He embraced his wife Nancy and then turned to acknowledge the greetings of the assorted members of Congress and his cabinet, who had come to wish him well and farewell. Attending a South Lawn departure ceremony was one of the perks of White House employment, and the small crowd of staff, interns, supporters, and friends applauded enthusiastically. The president, on that unseasonably warm October morning, was riding high. His re-election in 1984 had almost been by acclamation. He won 49 of the 50 states, most of them by hefty margins. The economy, so dismal when he took office in 1981, had gone through a painful readjustment and emerged stronger, just as he said it would. Reaganomics, as he quipped, was no longer a dirty word. Now, 2 years into his second term, he was near the height of his impressive popularity and power. Having started to fix things at home, he was ready to take on the world. That morning he was headed to Iceland, of all places, to negotiate about nuclear weapons with Mikhail Gorbachev. Negotiating was something Reagan loved to do, something he felt he was good at doing, something he most wanted to do with a Soviet leader. Before boarding Marine One, the president had a few remarks to offer about the trip. There was a slight disconnect since his delivery was characteristically upbeat, while his message was designed to lower expectations. The upcoming meeting would be a quiet and intimate session, all business and no protocol. Reagan called it, "essentially a private meeting between the two of us. We will not have large staffs with us. Nor will they dash off a few quick agreements and then give speeches about the spirit of Reykjavik." That just wasn't in the cards. Although it was to be a meeting of the superpower leaders, Reykjavik shouldn't even be called a summit. After all, summits were staged, theatrical events, culminating in the clinking of champagne glasses to celebrate, well, usually little of lasting significance. A real summit fulfilled what Franklin Roosevelt once told Charles de Gaulle, who needed no guidance on such matters. "In human affairs, the public must be offered a drama." But Reykjavik wasn't going to offer a drama. Rather, the president went on, this meeting would be a mere base camp leading to that full-scale summit he was looking toward in Washington, D.C. the following year. Just by chance, the president noted, he was leaving for Iceland on Leif Erikson Day, the day named for the mighty Viking explorer who had discovered America nearly 1,000 years before. Reagan's linking that man with that land was a subtle diplomatic reach-out to mollify some irritation in Iceland over Eriksson's exact nationality. Days earlier, Iceland's foreign minister Mattias Mattiasson got cranky and blurted out, "In the U.S. they call him Norse, whatever that means, but he was born and bred in Iceland." As the president was speaking, a low-flying plane drowned out his remarks. When this had happened to Lyndon Johnson during some South Lawn ceremony years before, LBJ whispered in an aide's ear to call the head of the Federal Aviation Agency and have him stop all, expletive deleted, flights from taking off or landing at National Airport now, and keep them away, far away, until his ceremony ended. That was Johnson's way. Reagan handled it his way. He paused dramatically, glanced up smiling, waved his hand gently, and said, "Get out of the way," and then joined the gales of laughter. The president's peroration ended on an upbeat. He quoted, "A great American who knew the extremes of hope and despair, and who said such immortal words as, 'History teaches us to hope.'" Reagan then extolled the nation's unified support and said, "Today we're making history, and we're turning the tide of history to peace and freedom and hope." The man who found hope in history was none other than Robert E. Lee, who was not necessarily a great American who shared our nation's unified support. As another plane approached, Reagan raced through the rest of his prepared remarks. He then wrapped an arm around Nancy's waist as they strolled across the lawn to the white-topped presidential helicopter. In an elegantly choreographed move, he hugged his wife with one arm, waved to the crowd with the other, bent down to bestow a farewell kiss, and completed the pivot with a crisp salute to the Marine saluting him at the helicopter steps, just before he boarded the khaki-green chopper.